the most consequential thing that I experienced growing up is going to get reinvented and transformed. And it's going to be 1,000x bigger, 1,000,000 times bigger. I don't even know. And like, I get to decide what that looks like through this company.
Take on.
Take me back to the year you got this started. What was going on in the world? How did the idea come about? The emergence of what has become Parallel.
I left Twitter. I immediately went to my office, started writing code, and I was finding myself like build automations over the web, because like when you're sitting by yourself, that's what you have access to, right? Like everyone has access to the web. Through that hacking, I was seeing how AIs would use the web. So I was sitting there, I think using Google Docs or something, and Excel, and trying to get some data in there. And literally I had to go to a different browser tab, get information, throw it into ChatGPT, have it process it, and then copy paste into Google Docs. And I was like, all these three systems are being delivered to me over the web. They're probably running on data centers next to each other. It like felt entirely ridiculous. And it was very clear that every application, software or hardware we use will have access to two things: intelligence from models and the entire web.
In 5 years, AI is the predominant users of the web. Tell me more about how that differs from how we as humans use the web today, and even how AIs are using the web today.
We want everything back when we load a page or a query back in under a second. We have only patience to consume 2 to 3 screenfuls worth. We can only tolerate choice when it comes to 3 calls to action. We almost never tell the web or the application on the other side what we're really trying to do. We tell it the very first step. Like when you're building Twitter and a user shows up, you're guessing why are they here right now. And you're trying to do the best job possible to answer the need that the user either did not articulate or articulated extremely incompletely. And AIs aren't like humans. They can be way more patient. They can process way larger amounts of information. They can also be way more impatient. So now you get to build for a completely different customer with a completely different set of needs.
Tell us, what is Parallel?
We're building a set of APIs that allows anyone building an AI agent or an application to just use the web. I have a very specific point of view on what the future of the web looks like. Humans are imperative. I believe AIs, to operate at their full potential, will become more and more declarative. Declarative means asking for what you want instead of describing how to go about doing it. Humans think primarily imperatively. The best form of delegation to give autonomy to other AIs, like you would in a great high-functioning team, is to be declarative. I believe the future of the web looks declarative.
Why Parallel? Where did the name come from?
We used to talk about sort of this new web purpose-built for AIs, because that's how we think of our technology stack. And ultimately, when we have participants from all publishers and all AIs, it'll feel like a new web instead of some recast of the current web. The word parallel web just stuck once we said it out loud the first time.
What were the first inklings that this was the problem you wanted to go commit your next act to?
For me, it brought together a bunch of what I had obsessed about for the last decade. I'd obsessed about like constantly living to have mental models of Twitter's end customers, how to build technology to really, really cater to them, right? So thinking about like, okay, what does a user mean when they scroll? What does a user mean? Like, why do stories work? Why do feeds work? How is the user thinking differently when they're sitting at a bus stop waiting for a bus and open Twitter? Then you're trying to get into their head and fit to where they are to cater an experience to it. As the CTO, I could even visualize like a random Twitter microservice, one of like several thousands, which had a contract, a technical contract, which is like, okay, you got to do something within like 50 milliseconds. I was like, why 50 milliseconds? It's like completely made up number. The reality is humans roughly give you between 300 to 700 milliseconds to show them stuff before you start losing them. And if this thing is part of the work that needs to happen to show them stuff, that dictates how much time you have to do this thing. So now everything you build is ultimately rooted in that human impatience, in how much content they will look at, what they will do with it. Having done that, and now you're sitting in this office and you are sort of doing things differently with an AI, you're coming up with these two separate pulls. One, an AI wants to do more and be interactive with the human. So now an AI wants the web to come back in like 10 milliseconds so that it can do 15 such interactions and still go back to the human in 1 second. But the other is you can just let the AI loose and it'll just get work done for you and you don't have to worry, right? And so you get pulled in these two completely different directions when an AI sits between you and the web. But where you don't end up is where we are today.
Twitter is a famously decentralized team. How did some of that impact your belief in team building with Parallel and everyone being here in Palo Alto?
When you are a small startup, you actually derive the most value of in-person. Like when there's just like 20 of you or 30 of you, you can know everyone. You can feel vibes. You can feel emotions. You can communicate effectively. You don't have to think about things. You don't have to have one-on-ones. You don't have to have meetings because it just happens. You can be extremely agile. Those things are so valuable in my mind. It also creates some friction, right? Like if people have to move to work here, they're believers. I don't need to hire 100 people. There are way more than 20 people who really want to work here. And so you're not trying to find everyone who might want to work with you. Like the supply-demand dynamic is different. And so obviously you want to be in person.
What advice would you go back and give yourself earlier in your career?
I think just think bigger. Like, I don't know, as I was growing up, going through grad school, I always imagined that people I read about or people who wrote books or people who ran businesses like were living in a different stratosphere or operating with like a different plane of existence almost. Somehow you didn't connect. And then every time I worked hard to get closer and closer to get that and got intimate, I was like, oh, I can do this. I can fit in. You have to learn things and you have to work hard. But we're all the same, really. I actually didn't think I could do those things until I got lucky enough and worked hard enough to be able to do some of those things, right? And if I'd known that, I would have just like done more sooner.
I want you to kind of go through these questions and just choose one that speaks more to you and the work that you're doing. So first, intuition or data?
Intuition.
Craft or clarity?
Both.
Inputs or outputs?
Inputs.
Fast or right?
Fast.
Revenue or reach?
For us, revenue.
What's been the most fun thing in the last 2 years?
The moment that sticks out when you ask that is I think I was walking in the rain in San Francisco talking on the phone with my team. I got told that some potential customer first sent us a benchmark because we take pride in benchmarks and quality and evals. The first time we got to do that with a customer's benchmark instead of like fake ones that we used to create every week. Like that felt like, oh my God, now I have something real to work on. So I'm going from being an academic to something real.
What's your favorite time of the week?
Friday evenings, our entire team does demos for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it takes. It's the one time I get to ask everyone what they got done this week.
The loan investment thesis that we have at Terrain is backing founders who call their shot. Parag, call your shot.
In 10 years, AIs will use the web orders of magnitude more than humans ever have. And that web will be open and competitive because of Parallel.